Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the recently held Lok Sabha election where for the first time a record number of NOTA votes were polled in the city of Indore, that is in the Madhya Pradesh. So, we are going to discuss in details what is NOTA, when it came into existence, why it came into existence, and what was the rationale behind which this voting option was included in the polling process, and also what is the consequences if high number of NOTA votes are polled in a particular constituency. So, first of all, to give you the context of the issue, recently in the Indore district of Madhya Pradesh, BJP's candidate Sankar Lalwani has won. Now, he has won this election with a record margin of 10 lakh votes. But the most interesting fact is that his close contestant was NOTA, that is none of the above options that voters can poll if they do not want to give their vote to any of the listed candidates. So, he has won by 10.09 lakh of margin, that means he has received somewhere roughly 12 lakh votes. And at the second number is NOTA, which has received about 2,18,000 votes, and then you have the third candidates. So, the extraordinary result is Indore. In the Indore is as of now in the history of India's election, especially after the introduction of NOTA option, is the most votes that NOTA option has ever received in any constituency today. Till now, the record was for the Gopalganj district, that is situated in the Bihar region, when 51,660 voters choose this option to exercise their voting right to not any of the candidates but rather to the NOTA. Now, in this context, if we try to understand a brief history that how and when NOTA came into existence, so it was year 2004 when what we can call as a civil rights group or an NGO by the name of People's Union for Civil Liberties, it approached the apex court, that is the Supreme Court of India, that to seek directions so that ECI that it has introduced the measures to protect the right to secrecy of voters to exercise their franchising. The petition, and in the petition the arguments was given that if you look the conduct of elections rule of 1961, basically it violates the secrecy aspect. Now, why does it violate the secrecy aspect? The answer was because the presiding officer, who is an officer appointed by the Election Commission of India, he maintains a record of the voters who choose not to vote in an election because they do not deem fit any of the candidates. And in this context, the presiding officer not only record the voters, put record of voters, but also it records or he records the signatures or thumb impression of each voter who exercises the right to not to vote. And this is why PUCL has claimed that it violates the exercise of secrecy, it violates the right of secrecy that any voter should enjoy. Now, against this petition that was put in the court, government gave a counter argument. And the counter argument that was given by the government was so that it said that the right to vote and the corresponding right to secrecy is not a constitutionally guaranteed right. Rather, it is a type of legal right, or more precisely, simply, it is a type of statutory right that comes into picture due to the law that has been made. And that is why, since the voters who have not exercised their right to vote, who have not given their vote to any of the candidates, they cannot ask for their right to secrecy be basically upheld. So, only voters who exercise their right to vote have a right to secrecy. That was the stand or the counter argument given by the government, as well as not those who have not voted at all. So, there is no such right available to them. Now, after hearing the matters both from the petitioner side as well as from the government side, Supreme Court then took a look at the Election Commission of India. Now, ECI in 2001, it had sent a letter to the Ministry of Law and Justice seeking the introduction of a NOTA option in the EVMs as well as in the ballot papers, which were the way how voting was done earlier. Now, the ECI behind this letter, it has given its rationale that it will protect the voter secrecy, and also it will allow the voters, if they want to express his or her dissent, or disapproval against the contesting candidates, and will have the benefit of reducing bogus voting. So basically the Supreme Court, after taking into account all these standpoints, made an observation, and the Supreme Court believed that the political parties, if the NOTA options are provided in the ballot papers or the EVMs, then political parties would be forced to accept the will of the people, and this will encourage the parties to field such candidates who are known for their integrity rather than fielding candidates on the basis of some superficial characteristic or superficial regions. Thus, the Supreme Court in the years 2013 and gave a direction, and this direction was given by a 3-judge bench which was headed by the Chief Justice of India at that time, P. Satasivam, and they said that whether a voter decides to cast his vote or decides not to cast his vote, in both the cases secrecy has to be maintained. So this is something that the government was counter arguing about, so the government standpoint was invalidated. Second, Supreme Court also made an observation that in India, where we focus on free and fair election, which is considered as the backbone of a healthy and well-functioning democracy, in such kind of free and fair election, secrecy becomes an essential feature. Now, taking into account both these observations, then finally in the month of September 2013, Supreme Court directed the Election Commission of India, who is election watchdog of India, to introduce the NOTA option for voters, so that the choice or voters' choice and the secrecy of the voters' choice can be protected. Now, what is the consequences if large number of votes are polled in favor of NOTA? So, if you look at the current situation, NOTA does not have any legal consequences attached to it. Rather, as of now, it is simply serving as a way or method of delivering a strong message to the political parties that the candidates who they have fielded has not been able to garner the confidence of the people or credibility of the people in the eyes of the people, and that is why people have decided to vote for NOTA. So the next time political parties can take the corrective measures. However, it does not have any legal consequences. It does not in any way invalidate the election process as such. Thus, even if the highest number of votes in a seat are polled for NOTA, which was not the case in this case, in this time, the second most successful candidate wins. That means, let us suppose 10 lakh votes has been given to NOTA, and the candidates who has received the vote is 8 lakh vote he has received. So in that case, it's not that NOTA can win or the election can be invalidated. Rather, the popular candidate, second most popular candidate after NOTA, will win the election. So this has never happened in Lok Sabha elections as of now we have discussed, but the Indore result as well as the other local body elections many times we have seen in the recent times actually show that it can become a distinct possibility somewhere in the future. And it is precisely because of these reasons, if you look at what is the future or what can change in the future, another petition was given or sent to the Supreme Court of India, where we have Shiv Khera, who is a well-known author and founder of the Country First Foundation. In the month of April 2024, he filed a petition for elections to be considered null and void if the NOTA receives the highest number of votes in the constituency, which is not the law as of now. And thus, he has sought directions to the ECI to frame guidelines or rules regarding uniform implementations of NOTA vote option with consequences for candidates who do not surpass NOTA. So, petition is still in the court, and we have to see that how this entire things unfolds and what is the decision of the Honorable Supreme Court. But in conclusion, what we can say that NOTA obviously is a potent weapon in the hands of the voter, and it requires more teeth, which it is lacking as of now, to put pressure on political parties to field candidates who can become credible in the eyes of people, who can be actually accepted by the people as a genuine candidates. And it also states that candidates who poll fewer votes than NOTA should be debarred from contesting all elections at least for a period of 5 years. And also the petition requests the Supreme Court to direct the ECI to frame the rule for this context as well, in this context as well. So that is all about this particular video. I hope you understood briefly about what NOTA is, what is its significance, and what we can expect in future, in especially coming from the Supreme Court, what is going to be the direction in the future in this regard. Thank you very much.